Welcome to the Rebel Love Show, where we are a once-a-week broadcast from Manchester, New Hampshire, where we are pro-pot, pro-gun, and pro-coffee. You can find all of our content on Voluntary Virtues Network. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube, and also go to rebelloveshow.com. I am Rob Mathias.
And I'm Shire Dude.
And today we have a great guest, a musical guest in studio, none other than Jordan Page.
What's up, guys?
How's it going? Now, to those people listening at home, this is an impromptu radio recording because we ran into Jordan at the Shire Co-op Market Day, and it's not every day that a musician of his stature is in town, so we had to take advantage of it.
I'm only 5'9".
You're only 5'9"? You look taller on camera. So anyways, why are you coming through New Hampshire right now?
Well, guys, I'm doing a tour up here in the Northeast. I had to get back up here. I love it up here. New Hampshire feels like second home to me. I got a lot of friends up here, a lot of fans, and I flew into Maine on Thursday and did a show up near Bangor, and then came down here I went down to Massachusetts last night to play a show in Worcester at the Farewell to the Liberty Clubhouse there on Grafton Street. We've had a lot of events there, like Liberty Love Fests, and this was like kind of the unofficial Liberty Love Fest 5 last night in Worcester. And tonight I'm playing in Contoocook, I think that's how you pronounce it, in New Hampshire. It's just outside Manchester, and it's like a house concert. Ron Noyes, very very well known musician, is hosting me there, and then tomorrow I'm down in Colchester, Connecticut. Head back to Indiana on Monday, and then I go almost immediately to Maryland. I'm playing a big show at the Avalon Theater on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is like a historic theater. So I've got a lot of shows right now. And
busy guy, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Very, very busy.
Yeah. How would you describe your sound to someone who's like never heard your stuff before?
You know, it's just a roundhouse kick to the face of the statist scumbag establishment in Washington. You know, I mean, it's I do a mixture of rock and folk music, and even some southern rock influences too. I don't like to. I mean, it's no musician likes to categorize himself, but you have to you know, to help people get acclimated. You know, it's like, you know, Bob Dylan meets Metallica. That's what I say. You know, with you know, libertarian anarchist message. You know, I did a lot of shows with Dr. Paul during the presidential campaign and before and after, and so a lot of people know me from working with him, and I do a lot of work with different organizations like Oath Keepers and different political advocacy groups, civic advocacy groups, and I just have a national fan base, and I just travel all over playing shows for them, trying to keep the liberty movement, you know, invigorated and alive and moving and, you know, lubricated, and you know, have a really, you know, I have a great time touring. I do a lot of intimate shows like house concerts now for the local groups, like what we call the remnant, the people who are still fighting and haven't, you know, hung up their boxing gloves, so to speak. And trying to bring new people in as well. So this is, you know, I had to get to the Northeast. If I didn't do it now before it gets too cold with the polar vortex coming, I wasn't going to get up here till probably April or May, and so I wanted to make sure I get to see everybody.
Now, the whole thing with polar vortexing, that's going to be a lot colder in Indiana than would be probably over here.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous in Indiana.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago, so like I'm well aware of like the weather out there. I remember I moved here January 25th, right during that whole polar vortex. It was negative 40 wind chills. I landed here and it was 30 degrees. I'm like, this is like a tropical heat wave. You know, I'm like, this is like great weather. Like, what are people talking about bad winters in New Hampshire? Like, you know, try the Midwest.
Sure.
You know. But anyways, you want to open up with a song?
Yeah, sure. You saw on this tour I've been doing a lot of my new material, and I've got you know, enough songs for I got like 17 new songs for this new album.
Wow.
Still trying to put together the budget for it, and hopefully it'll be out like early next year. But this is the most recent song that I've done. It's called Modus Operandi, and it came about because I had the idea to, you know, all my songs come from the perspective, you know, from my perspective, or the perspective of the people, you know, raging against the state, and or asking questions of our fellow man and women, like the fellow citizens of this country, like, you know, why are you doing nothing while these, you know, statist scumbags are taking away your freedoms? You're just kind of watching TV and not paying attention. and so I ask a lot of questions in my songs. But this was my first attempt at trying to get inside the mindset of the statist establishment and see where they're coming from. And the narrative that I found was this very dark and condescending and semi-sarcastic, disapproving, psychotic parental voice. And I love the song. Even though it's really scary, I love the song.
All right.
It's a lot of fun.
All right.
Go for it, man. Rock it.
Save your questions for the end, my dear. Be patient, wait in line. No reason here to hurry, so don't worry, take your time. Don't be frightened, don't concern yourself. Don't speak or raise alarm. Don't question, keep your head down. Just be still and serve the farm. You've got to follow orders to the letter of the state. Never mind your inner conscience. No room to hesitate. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I need some holy ground. The world's dark and full of pain. We soldier on against the grain. It feels like running circles. Get yourself excited, there is nothing here to see. No master plan or profit scam, no dark conspiracy. Our agents are your shepherds, don't resist them, don't deny. Dissenters will be met with force, we trust you will comply. It's all for your protection, pay your homage to the state. Never mind your inner conscience, no room to hesitate. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh. I need some holy ground. The world is dark and full of pain. We soldier on against the grain. Feels like running circles. I lift my head up towards the sun. All that is damned will be undone. Shattered pieces
absolutely beautiful. That was amazing.
That was
Thank
great.
You've definitely gone a lot more anti-state compared to where you began your early work.
Well, I lost my mic feed a little bit. I can't.
There you go.
Test one.
Yeah, I turned it down just a little bit during the because it was cracking a couple times. That's why I just turned it down just a little bit when you were playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I when I first started out, I had this I had this epiphany. I wrote this song in the middle of the night. It was called Pendulum. I've played it. Everybody knows this song who knows me. And I didn't understand what the song was about when I wrote it, and it was kind of like a gift I was given in the middle of the night. Like I didn't understand the references in it, but there's a lot of real things in it. The Federal Reserve's in it. Ron Paul's in it. George Bush is in the song. I mean, there's all this stuff that's going on at the end of 2006, and it was just this. I was a politically illiterate person at the time, and I was like any other sheeple out there, and the song is what prompted me to go start looking and researching and figuring out what's really going on and reading the right books and talking to people about the issues and not just what's going on in my little microcosm. And so in the beginning, it seemed pretty clear to me that restoring the republic was the was the thing to do. It was like the Constitution, man. I mean, come on, it's the Constitution, and not that I treat the Constitution like it's a piece of garbage either, but it's not. To me, it's not what the goal is.
Exactly.
I've come to this conclusion, and there's people that disagree here, but. Not here, but in general.
Well, I was going to say I used to be a restored republic person.
Yeah, I was a constitutionalist.
I used to be
for a
a
while.
huge constitutionalist.
Yeah.
Ron Paul restored republic. I'm still a huge Ron Paul guy, but
me too.
I'm not a restored republic guy anymore.
Well, I don't think that there's anything to restore it to.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a golden age of liberty that there's a time that we should take it back to, because if we take it backwards to wherever this mythical time, it's always just going to end up right back where we are now.
Yeah.
It's like Spooner said, the Constitution either failed to prevent it or was the cause of this situation in the first place. And there's a lot of truth in that. If you really read the Constitution, it's a list of things the government can't do.
But Article 1, Section 8 is just nothing but everything that Congress can do.
Can do, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the worst part of the entire document. I mean, I love the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights are amazing. Well,
sure.
Except for the part where they can steal your property and give you just compensation for it. But
That,
besides that little nugget in the
Sure.
in there, other than that, Article 1, Section 8 is the part I have a huge disdain for.
My biggest problem with it are the necessary and proper clause, the supremacy clause, general welfare clauses, because those are giant loopholes that the government can use as justification to deprive you of your rights and property.
Okay, so you used to be a constitutionalist, correct?
I used to be.
Okay.
But at the same time, I still support folks who are fighting to restore the power of the Constitution, because they're like, we are dealing with a tyrannical state. You cannot. I mean, we can pretend it's not there. We can create subcultures that render it irrelevant in our own lives. But there's going to come a point where the violence of the state is going to come to our front door. It permeates every part of our culture, every system of control that governs our lives. Whether we acknowledge them or not, whether we say that doesn't control me or not, it still affects us, even indirectly. And so, the folks that are trying to limit government power, who are trying to, make the government use the Constitution, for me, that's still a worthwhile cause to a degree, because for me, anything that's taking us in the opposite direction of where we're going is a step in the right direction. Whether like the constitutional, folks, their idea of liberty is probably very different than mine.
Yeah.
But it's at least in the same general direction. In the opposite direction of where we're heading, because the way we're heading is a very dark road, and people have gone down that road in our very recent past. We know what happens. It's ugly. It's horrifying. It's war. It's murder, genocide. Like, this is not what we want to see happen. I've got 5 children. I'm trying to create a world that's going to be a good place for them. I don't want to take America backwards. I want to take America forwards into a real age of liberty and a culture of liberty, not just a liberty movement.
Is that why you play your music?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been a musician. Music is the central character in my life. It's a central driving force. Always has been since I was a little boy. I mean, I was 5, 6 years old listening to records on my little Fisher-Price record player. Music has always been what I was about. But it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s when I had this epiphany that I could actually do something non-self-gratifying with this music. Like, so much music, and so many musicians I know, music is an addictive activity. There are feelings you get. There's highs you get from it, natural highs you get from it. That once you have a taste of that, you got to have more. It's also an amazing way to connect with other people, and I love people. I'm a people person. I'm very social, and this is a way that I can connect with people, and make friends, and build my global family. But it's also a tool for social change, and it always has been. But the music industry itself has been taken over by the same folks that have taken over the mainstream media, same folks that own the banking cartels, the same folks that are causing all the problems politically have recognized the power of art and music as a tool to control people's minds, to control the culture, and to make it a culture that's accepting of tyranny.
Well, one thing I love about the Liberty community is that it seems like, especially with your music and other people, like we're building our own cultural identity.
Absolutely.
And it's not something that a lot of people really realize, but like the whole Liberty community in general, everything about us, like the way we talk to each other, like the artwork that we have, like the music we listen to, a lot of it is building up our own cultural identity within like the state, within like this prison that we're in or whatever you want to call it. We're building up this community, but we want to have an identity to that community. It's not like we're like an immigrant group or something like that where we're kind of bringing an identity with us. We have to literally build our own identity. Sure. And like music like yours and like other stuff, like we're building that identity for us.
Absolutely, and I see it growing all the time. The more people are waking up. It's interesting. The faster people wake up, the faster the global elite accelerate their plans for world domination. They see how many people are wise to their act now, and that's why you see all these horrifying laws being passed. Boom, 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 boom. And that's why you see the militarization and federalization of police all over the country. Like they're building an army. They're stockpiling weapons and ammunition because they know what's coming. These are the people that are purposefully causing all the problems and the impending collapse that's coming with the dollar. They know how bad it's going to get, and they're preparing for it. But so are we.
So here's a question for you then. Now I see the writing on the wall. I see what's going to happen down the future. I mean, I'm here for the Free State Project just because I feel like this is the last best hope in the planet, really, to stand up and try and like build a community that's against the coercion of the state, the authority of the state. But that being said, like I could leave the country. I can go to like Costa Rica or New Zealand or Argentina. Well, not Argentina, but like Chile or something like that. Go down to South America and just like live out my life and not stand for something. Like,
sure.
What keeps you here? Why are you still here? Why haven't you left?
Wow, what a question. I've thought about it.
We all do. We all think about leaving. Like, just, there's a lot of people that like are very liberty minded that they go south the border. They just leave.
I don't think it's a sense of like patriotism. I'm not 100% sure what that is, because I don't identify with the flag. I don't actually.
I have a disdain for the American flag personally.
Well, then I have a song I'm going to play for you personally.
Good. Okay. I do have a request later on as well for a song.
All right, right on. I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I have some very strong callings that I've always felt, but that didn't have the context until I became an activist, until I embraced this philosophy, this ideological philosophy, and I feel like I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to be fighting these people. I'm meant to be waking people up. Like, that's what I'm here to do. If I were to leave, I'm more tempted to leave to spare my children having to grow up in a civil war. Of all different kinds, whether it's racial or resource based or us versus them. Whatever it's going to end up being, it may be an amalgamation of all those things and more things that I can't see. I'm so immersed in this fight that my children don't have to be. But part of me knows they're going to have to be no matter what. Because this situation didn't create itself overnight. It happened over generations. It's going to take generations to undo it. America, to the world has come to mean something different than what it has meant traditionally to folks. It's been a beacon of light for folks for a long time, but since its inception, however, it's now become synonymous with, the arrogant oppressor, the invading army. I mean, like, we have bases in 190 some countries all over the world. I mean, that is an empire. No matter how you want to spin it, that's an empire. It's a military empire. We have a military democratic dictatorship, and that is what we have. We do not have a representative democracy. We sure don't have a republic anymore. I mean, that was lost a long time ago. And I personally know that I'm here to fight this fight, whatever that means, and I'm okay with that, because everyone has to die. Everyone has to go through their journey in life and learn the lessons that they're here to learn. I have been given ample proof, by the Creator that this is what I'm here to do. Every time I start to doubt, maybe we should just get the hell out of here, I will get a sign that I'm meant to stay, and that this is what I'm supposed to do. My voice carries to the these people, and these are the people that are going to be the leaders when everything falls apart. Ron Paul himself, his goal, I think, was to create an army of leaders. I think he created an army of activists for sure.
Well, absolutely. I mean, most people in the FSP, most people in the liberty community in general, I would say about half of them have been woken up because of Ron Paul. I'm one of those people. I went down the whole liberty rabbit hole because of Ron Paul.
Sure.
So I went down the exact same similar journey as most people like yourself.
Mm-hmm. I discovered Ron Paul about a year after I woke up. And he was such a pleasant surprise to me because, I'm thinking that we have to solve this problem with politics and all that at the time. And I'm just like, there's actually a congressman who's for real and he's not a complete and utter douche. Wow, this is amazing. This is awesome. I want to get to know this guy. And, but he said in his farewell speech, the Constitution has failed. We have become an immoral people. Like the Constitution doesn't work and we have not stood up for ourselves. And that we are afraid of our government instead of the other way around.
See, I came from, I found Ron Paul during my journey of waking up, but he wasn't like my red pill moment. A lot of people have a red pill moment.
Sure.
For me, it was Loose Change. I watched Loose Change like
2006,
2007. I'm like, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it because I was very patriotic then. I was proud to be an American and all that jazz, and I kept doing research on like this can't be right, this can't be true, and I started going like looking up other research and trying to figure this out. Along my journey, I found Alex Jones documentaries, and then I found Alex Jones, listened to him. He had Ron Paul on. I'm like, oh my God, who the heck is this Congressman Ron Paul? And then from there I just kept going down and down the rabbit hole until somehow I landed here in Manchester. Like that's been my journey for like the last like 6 years.
And you're exactly where you're supposed to be, man.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like I finally belong somewhere on this planet, in this world.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been a journey, but like the last year I've been here has been absolutely incredible. I feel like I'm finally living the life I'm supposed to be living, not just existing and paying attention to what's going on.
That's fantastic. That makes my day to hear that, man. That's awesome. That's great.
Well, your music actually helped through that transition a little bit as well. I used to listen to it. And by the way, Laurenson next to you, I introduced your music to her, so just letting you know that.
Nice. Well, thanks for that.
Yeah. What do you mean no? Yes.
No, Steve.
No, I remember the exact moment when I introduced it to you.
Oh,
whatever,
here we go.
if you say so.
Steve.
How do you know who Steve is?
What about you, buddy? Shire Dude. How did you come to these conclusions?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Ron Paul played a major role in it. My story is pretty much the same as Rob's in a lot of ways. I didn't ever do the Alex Jones thing though. I guess that was a little before my time.
Before your time?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you put him in your videos.
Yeah, I know, because he's hilarious.
If you ever get a chance, watch Shire Dude.
He's I've seen Shire Dude. And I make fun of Alex Jones a lot. Like, I make fun of him a lot, but I make fun of Ron Paul too. And you can't really completely disassociate from whatever wing of whatever we are. You can't really disassociate from those people. Like objectivists, some people just say, oh, those crazy objectivists, whatever, they'll do whatever. But that is a path to liberty, like just like Alex Jones, just like Ron Paul, just like anything, so
there's lots of paths, there's lots of ways,
so many,
and everybody's got their own idea of what liberty is, what freedom is,
right?
And I don't personally care what anybody else's idea is. I know what it is for me. And I want everybody to be able to do what they want to do as long as they're abiding by the non-aggression principle.
Yeah, we're all riding the same train.
Yeah, exactly. So as long as we're heading in that direction, I'm good. Because I don't personally, I mean, I can dream, I can hope that we're gonna reach it in my lifetime, but I don't think so. I think that there's so much work to do. But I want to set it up for my children. I want my children and their children to see it, and that's really my goal. I mean, I love them more than I love myself. And so I'm trying to be part of something bigger than me that's doing something positive for our culture.
Well, for me, it's like one of those things where once you see the truth, once you see what the world really is around you, do you hide or do you stand up to it? Do you?
Well, it's a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a choice, but some people don't make that choice. They'll make the wrong choice and like go hide. I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself at night, knowing what's out there, not knowing that I'm doing something. Like this whole point of this show, like for me, I do this just because I want to be able to somehow show what the people that actually live in the liberty community around the country and here are like the culture of it. That's kind of like my goal of it. But in hopes that maybe it'll inspire other people to, move here. That's my real goal. But also to just show that they're not alone. Because I used to feel alone. I used to, when I was in Chicago, there's not a huge liberty community. There is, but not to where it is here or other parts of the country. I know Texas has a huge liberty community as well. And I was always paying attention to all the different liberty media out there and stuff like that. And for me, it's kind of just paying it forward. Like I know there's other people out there that they think that they're by themselves in whatever city they may be living in or whatnot, or a rural area where there's no one else around them that really thinks the way that we think. And at least something like this thrown out there, they may find it, and at least they know that they're not alone in this world the way that they're thinking. That's kind of like my goal with it.
Yeah, like back in California, I had to create whatever like liberty events I wanted to go to. I had to be the one to start it. It was so hard. It was like I don't know. It was just everything was like slow and to start up any group I wanted to do. But here it's a lot different in that it's already happening. It's already going on. There's something going on every day. And what's
that's refreshing.
What's the community like back where you live?
There's some good people. There's a lot of good people, but there's not a lot going on. I mean, Indiana doesn't have as many problems as a lot of other places do. I mean, it's an open carry state, no homeschool regulations, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So there, but you have to sign waivers not to have your kids vaccinated at the doctor's office. You know what I mean? I actually I read the waiver and it said I recognize that I am endangering my child's life by not having this vaccine. And I was like, I'm not signing this piece of crap. It said you need to black this out and initial it, or I'm not signing this. And they did, But imagine how many people just sign it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, and you're acknowledging with a signature that you believe you are endangering your child's life. This is just the statist mentality. Like people are so indoctrinated into the systems that of control. They don't even question it. It's just part of their job or part of what they do. That it's like. The folks at the TSA, for example, like in Indianapolis, like the guy was, I always opt out of the machines, and he says, can I just ask you why you're opting out? And I told him, I said it's a violation of my rights and my privacy, and he started laughing. And I said, do you realize that every time you put that uniform on, like the Constitution you swore to uphold and protect, you are violating it every time you come to work? That your job itself is a violation of the Constitution, and they can't even hear that.
Yeah.
Whenever I travel, whenever I go through the TSA, I always opt out as well because I take that as a small. I only have like a minute and a half when they're sexually molesting me. But it's
do outreach, right?
I do outreach. I look at
me too.
I look at the overweight guy with the rubber gloves standing in front of me. And I look at him in the face. I'm like, do you enjoy, molesting people in the airport? Do you enjoy violating the Constitution, violating my privacy? Do you want me to come to your house and do what you're doing to me right now? Like, do you feel like you're doing it? Like, I try to throw freedom stuff in there. Like, maybe you should, quit your job and find something that's benefiting the community because this is not good. You're not doing good
but
work.
No. They're keeping you safe, bro. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Just be a good slave, Robert. Be a good slave.
No.
You're making it tough on the rest of us, man.
Yeah, I always try just just put, they're a human being. So I mean,
They are
I'm hard on them though.
Yeah.
But sometimes people need tough love. I'm not trying to be mean to them because I hate them as a human being. I don't. But I feel like they need to know what they're doing is upsetting me and upsetting other people. And most people just go along because that's what they're told to do. And you should never do what you're told to do. You should always do what's right. And I just always use that opportunity just maybe I'll wake someone up. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, it's my one little minute of activism I can do with another human being when they're right in front of me. And they can't leave.
Sure.
I actually had one person get verbally, physically upset with me. And it's like, I can't continue if you keep talking. It's like, so you're going to violate my First and Fourth Amendment, right? Because you're just violating the Fourth right now. You really want to do the First as well? And then he walked away and then came back. Like he had to collect himself.
Wow.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience. I had a TSA agent who was clearly recently ex-military. I mean, clearly, really believed in his job, and I was doing the exact same thing. And I was talking to him about 9/11 being an inside job. I was talking to him about this and that. He got so upset. He got nose to nose with me, and was basically threatening me and said, you're crossing the line, sir. You are crossing the line. And I looked at him and I said, you crossed the line this morning when you put on that uniform.
Oh,
nice.
Snap.
Wow. How did he react to that?
Oh, we had to bring a supervisor over to kind of break it up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you need to control your officer here because he's prone to violence. He's basically threatening my person, because I object to what he's doing to me. I said, if your guys can't control themselves, they need to be the hell out of here because, and the guy was just like, yeah, I agree. He was kind of a stoner. What can you do? I mean, like the agents of the state are still human beings underneath the uniforms. But, in the case of the TSA, if they did the exact same thing to you without their uniform on out on the sidewalk of the airport, they could be arrested for it.
Yeah.
It just so happens when they put on that uniform with that shiny badge, they magically have immunity for committing crimes against people. And this is what the state is. It's just a control mechanism. And as soon as you give someone a little bit of power, a little bit of authority, all of a sudden they're demigods, and there is no questioning my authority.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a cop pull us over in Maine a couple days ago. Came up to the car just angry, just furious. He had almost run people off the road 4 minutes early. He did this. We watched him do this U-turn, and he literally ran 2 cars off the road. And then he pulls us over for a seatbelt thing, and my driver was kind of clueless and didn't have his license with him, didn't have registration. Made him even more angry. He asked me for my ID. I refused to give it to him, and he just couldn't believe that I wouldn't give him my identification. It was just like how dare you not give me your identification? See,
well, for here, because so many people do cop blocking and whatnot in Manchester and whatnot, I had a similar experience where I had a passenger with me, and we were traveling, taking her home, and I got pulled over because I didn't have my piece of metal front plate on the bumper. It was up in the window. Oh my God, So he pulls me over, and he wants both of our IDs. And I'm like, I'm legally bound by law to hand you this identification card, but I am not giving you my passengers. She's not driving. You have no reason to take this whatsoever. And he's like, well, we're supposed to ask for it. I'm like, no, that's not true, and that's not legally required. So here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But here, though, they're kind of they're used to
you domestic terrorists.
They know that. They're like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with this guy. And he's just like, because I have Liberty stickers on, bumper stickers on my car and whatnot.
They
so
know
like,
what they're getting
into. They do what
they're
getting
pull
into
you
as soon as
over.
they pulled me over. Yeah. They figured it out. So he didn't like argue about it. He just shrugged his shoulders and just took it. But that's kind of
he's evaluating. Is this really worth my time?
Yes.
And the paperwork.
I did get away without a ticket, so that did work.
Right
Yeah.
Nice.
But at least here they kind of have an idea of like I guess resistance or like people standing up to them.
Well, you guys are showing them, who the real boss is, and that's great.
Yeah.
We need to see free state projects in every state.
Well, I would love to see more people move here, but I would love to see other communities being built around the country.
It's happening. I'm seeing it. There's a great community in Texas.
Speaking of Texas. All right, I know Murdoch Biscotti.
I do. He's a good friend.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
I've never met him in person, but I've been in contact with him for like 2 or 3 years at this point. Like he's a great guy.
He is.
Are you ever gonna tour Texas anytime soon?
I just did. I did a tour in Texas in August, and I was just down there in Dallas a few weeks ago. I go down there all the time. I have a radio show myself called Page Against the Machine, and he was actually one of my first guests on my first show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Murdoch's a good buddy, and he's done a lot of great work with Don't Comply.
Oh yeah, Don't Comply and the whole open carry stuff. Yeah. He's doing great work down there. But if you see him, next time you see him before June, do me a personal favor.
Sure.
Tell him to get his ass to Pork Fest, because he's never been to Pork Fest.
I will do
that. All
that.
right? He needs to be here to come to Pork Fest. Like, even if he never moves to New Hampshire, whatever. He's doing great work down there, but he needs to get to Pork Fest.
Done.
Thank you.
How many Pork Fests have you been to?
5. I've been to 5.
5.
Yeah, I started going in 2010, so it was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've played at all the ones that I've been to. It's just, these are my people. I love these people. This is the community where it's like nothing I say goes over anyone's head.
Right.
It's everyone. They're just sponges, and it just it's just an amazing opportunity to be around like-minded people. No matter where you go, you either know everyone or every single person you meet can be a new friend, like right that minute. I also, I love the fact that I can live for a week on Bitcoin. That makes me really happy. I'm a big Bitcoin enthusiast, and I didn't use one FRN the entire week. It was all Bitcoin, and I just nothing better than that.
Nice.
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. I had to go to a couple of different vendors that didn't accept Bitcoin, unfortunately, but I did the same thing. I lived the entire week using nothing but Bitcoin.
Yeah, I paid for all my meals with Bitcoin this last one. I heard the next Pork Fest you're going to be able to do that with Dogecoin, so that's really exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm all about some alternative currencies and undermining the power of the Federal Reserve. It's good stuff.
There you go. All right, so you wanna hit us up with another song here?
Yes, I would. Can you bring my vocal mic up just a little bit? And I'm gonna bring my guitar down a little bit too.
Okay.
The guitar is probably what was making it peak out. Okay, so
good?
Yeah, this is great.
Okay.
So this is a song called Sedition. And sedition is defined as a subversive act of rebellion against the established authority. So that sounds pretty damn good to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking about all the things that are contributing to this situation that we have with eroding freedoms. And, I broke it down to, a big 5, not the only 5, but a big 5, which, you have the military-industrial complex, you have the, the blind nationalism that's associated with that, and flag worship and all that, and the acceptance of imperialism. You have the banking cartels and how they fund all the imperialistic activities that we do, that our government does. You have the mainstream media, and they perpetuate the buffet of lies that everyone eats from on a daily basis from the trough. And then you have the indoctrination centers, the public government school systems now that are worse than ever with the nationwide implementation of Common Core. These are all just planks of the Communist Manifesto. I mean, this is just like verbatim. Like this is the plan. And then you have, and to top it all off, you have the disbelief of the American people. They don't even think this is going on.
Yeah.
They don't even recognize it. It's in front of their face. It's affecting them personally, and they don't even see it. And so, I asked the question in the song, won't you consider the notion that things are not all what they seem? And when blindness is vision, slavery is your religion, and there's no waking up from the dream. So this is called Sedition. Well, here's to the flags that cover our soldiers, whose stripes run red with their blood. For young men will die in an endless supply, while the real killers hide from the flood. Yeah, here's to the flag, a symbol of conquest, an empire of violence unfurled. I'll not pledge or applaud, save only to God, as I grieve for the pain in the world. But you won't consider the notion that things are not all what they seem. For when blindness is vision, slavery's your religion, and there's no waking up from the dream. And here's to the bankers who rob counterfeit paper deceits. And their crimes are well hidden, their records forbidden, and the poor always shoulder the heat. Yeah, here's to the banksters who silence their critics. They hold all the cards in the game. At first you will deal, and then you will kneel, for your debt's nothing more than a chain. But you won't consider the notion that things are not all what they seem. When blindness is vision, slavery's your religion, and there's no waking up from the dream. And here's to the giants of false information who lead populations astray, as they blind you with fiction and dark contradiction, and send common sense on its way. Yeah, here's to the sellouts, to corporate enslavement, the best liars money can buy. They're the voices for war, the establishment whores, who parade honest truth as a lie. But you won't consider the notion that things are not all what they seem. For when blindness is vision, slavery's your religion, and there's no waking up from the dream. And you can deceive the whole world if the past falls to your sway. And here is the lesson we learn as it catches up with us today. Now here's to the centers of indoctrination, controlled by the power elite, where you're taught to be numb till you're blind, deaf and dumb, and prepared to accept your defeat. Oh, I warn you, disinterested wayfaring children, born to the chains that you bear. For the gallows are high, and the hour is nigh, as you march to your doom unaware. But you still won't consider the notion that things are not all what they seem. For your silent submission and acts of contrition have kept you enslaved in the dream. Oh, but won't you consider the notion that things are not all what they seem? For the purpose and mission's no less than sedition, for we're all waking up from the dream. Yeah, the purpose and mission's no less than sedition, for we're all waking up from the dream. We're all waking up from the dream.
Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Thanks.
So for me, like I came down the truther movement to this, and I know you go through like a lot of different circles. You know, you travel a lot of different ones. And a lot of your lyrics, it feels like you came from some sort of truther side at some point.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I was like, there's a program called LimeWire. It's like a file sharing program. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it got shut down. So I would download movies from this program, and I'd like whatever movie was out that I wanted to see, and it would be a 9/11 truth movie disguised as the movie I was trying to find, and I was just like, what the hell is this crap? And I just delete it and try to weed through the ones that weren't 9/11 Truth movies. But I was, I got into some Alex Jones stuff, and he was talking about it, and then I saw the second portion of the Zeitgeist film, which is it's like a 30-minute piece on 9/11, and it's very well done. I think it really encapsulates the argument, like the main arguments pretty well, and that totally blew my mind. And I came to the conclusion, geez, if they're willing to do that, then they're willing to do anything.
Yeah.
And then I learned about Building 7. And Building 7, for those of you who are listening who don't know, and I doubt there's anyone listening to the show doesn't know.
I can't believe there's anyone listening that doesn't.
but it's like a 47-story skyscraper. It comes down into its own footprint faster than free fall speed, was not hit by a plane. Explain this. People, most folks don't even know Building 7 existed. It's not part of the narrative. I think it's like the issue. I mean, we can get into all the stuff about Israel and Bin Laden and the Bush family, and that's all like the minutia that's like supporting evidence. What you need is somewhere to get started, and for me, it's Building 7 is just so obviously the thing, and I got really into 9/11 Truth, and I still am. I mean, it's a daily thing. I've introduced people to the liberty philosophy through Loose Change as well. I mean, it's a very powerful film. It's a definitive work on the subject, in my opinion. I mean, there's lots of 9/11 Truth documentaries, but Loose Change is a very palatable one that most people can watch and they can get something from it.
I know a lot of people in the liberty, not a lot of people, but there's at least a decent portion of people in the liberty community that are very against like the truthers and stuff like that for some reason or another. I mean, I come from that background as well. Everyone has their own journey to getting to this point.
Sure.
How do you relay like liberty to like people that haven't they've woken up in the point that they know that there's something wrong, like they saw 9/11 truth documentary of some sort, or they're in that like conspiracy world for a while, they're hovering around in this like area where like all these different conspiracies, like how do people in the liberty community like reach out to those people and bring them down? Like I came down from there. You feel like you came down from that. Like
how did you guys come down from that, right? If you're both from that background.
I came down from just I never stopped researching. Like that was my I was always kind of liberty oriented, a little bit more conservative, but like I came down simply because it opened my mind to like, okay, the reality that I know, I don't believe it anymore. So I just kept searching for the truth, and that's how I came down to this.
I mean, for me, it was a year and a half of just hardcore research with a tinfoil hat firmly stapled to my head. And I had to sift through so much information to see what do I really believe here, what's likely, And I was helping my buddy Adam Kokesh out with his campaign for his for Congress back in '09, and I was out in New Mexico, and I was hanging out with Ernest Hancock. Do you guys know him? He's from Phoenix.
Yeah, I've been on his show.
Ernie's one of my closest friends, and but then I was just getting to know him, and I asked him. I said, we were having a private conversation. I said, what's really going on here? I said, I'm getting all this information, and I'm trying to find out what's really going on. I said, are these people really trying to take over the world? Are they really doing all this crap? And he took a deep breath, and with kind of a sad look on his face, he said, let me tell you something. If they can, then they are.
Yeah.
And that just leveled the playing field for me. I'm like, okay, well then nothing's off limits. No holds barred. If they can, then they are. That actually makes perfect sense to me. Because these folks, they don't have any sort of like sense of, American patriotism, or they're not like, a lot of folks out there are proud to be Americans. There's this sentiment that American exceptionalism, like we can do no wrong, or that we are the greatest country in the world. Well, by what criteria do you base that? Because most countries hate our guts now.
They do.
And we, I'm not out there bombing children, but my taxes, which are taken from me at gunpoint, are contributing to the bombing of children. The fact that we have not overthrown this tyrannical regime, as like the people have not risen up and overthrown this tyrannical regime, is proof that our silence is consent. And whether we want to admit to that or not, it is. It is up to the people to hold the government in check, and we just haven't done it. And now it's so out of control and militarized that, like, I mean, there's so many layers of protection around it that, you know, what does the average person do? Well, the average person isn't doing much. You know, they're staying at home and watching TV and immersing themselves in their escapes and their gadgets. When folks like, you know, everyone in this room, we're all, you know, obsessed with the truth and obsessed with making it right, because we cannot go back to sleep. We cannot walk away.
Yeah.
You know, I ask people this question. This is my litmus test to see if someone's ready for any of this. I ask them, and I've done it many times, and I've been right almost every time. I tell someone that, you know, there is an asteroid the size of Texas heading for the Earth, and it's going to hit the Earth in 2 years. And there is nothing that anyone can do about it. Like, this is an extinction event. Do you want to know?
You know,
and if they say no, they're not ready.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads into another question I have. A lot of people, sometimes they get burnt out living this lifestyle, living in this community and whatnot.
Absolutely.
You know, have you ever considered going back, if you could, theoretically, hypothetical?
Not a chance.
You would never take the blue pill. You would never
no
go back into
way.
it and, like,
oh my God,
just go back to sleep and just live your life with your
Not
kids
a
and
freaking
not
chance.
even worry about any of this.
No, I am living my life with my kids.
Well, I'm not saying you're not. I'm just simply saying, like, not doing all this. Just like
No. I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm saying that I am living the life that I was meant to live, that I want to live, and I am enjoying my children. I'm enjoying, you know, my life, and this calling, this path has took my life from being, you know, this wide to this wide. It hasn't changed direction per se. It's just encompassed so much more. My life is so enriched by all the people that I've met, the friends that I've made. I mean, like, it's like I've alienated my family in many ways, and many friends that I've had for years. These relationships have disintegrated, but I have gained so many more meaningful relationships with people because of what I'm doing. And I know it's where you know, God wants me to be. It's where I want to be. It's what I'm meant to be doing. Going back to sleep, like, that would negate everything that I've done up to this point. And it's like I am in this for life. I don't have any other goals but to continue spreading the truth. I may have other things that I'm doing, but it's all meant to support this effort.
How has living this you've been in this for a while? 6 years? You've been doing it? 7 years?
Since 2007, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 7 years. How is living this lifestyle, living in this community around the country, how has this changed you as a human being?
Oh, it's just made me better, because, you know, I learned so much from so many people. And when I first, like I've said, when I first started out, I was waving my Constitution in people's faces. I'm not doing that anymore. I have simplified what I'm trying to accomplish down to the most bare essentials, you know, to make it, you know, easier for people. I'm trying to be a door opener. I'm trying to plant seeds. You know, Johnny Appleseed for Liberty. You know, just plant seeds everywhere you go. If no matter what you do, if you open your mouth, speak truth. Doesn't matter who you're talking to, just speak the truth. Because you never know what kind of ripples you're going to cause. You don't know where those seeds are going to fall, and they have to keep growing. You know, I'm not trying to, like, do anything to the liberty movement. I'm trying to create a culture of liberty everywhere you go. You know, that's why I don't care about all the infighting.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I support that, because what you have people, you know, arguing about the best way to have liberty. You don't have statists arguing with statists anymore. You know, what's the best way for government to solve our problems? Well, no, there is no answer to that question. The question itself it negates itself. You know, the fact that everybody, you know, has their own idea about what freedom is, and we're all trying to get there, and we're arguing about you know, who gets to, you know, who gets to be the most free, or, you know, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome, and I want to see that grow and grow and grow.
Absolutely. Like, for me, like, I'm not against, like, the drama and the infighting that happens, because let's face it, a lot of people that get into this community are very logical, but they're also they have very strong ideas, very strong positions on what liberty is, and you transform so fast being engulfed in the liberty community, where, like, you evolve mentally so much faster
Absolutely.
than you did before you were outside of it. So I don't take, like, the drama and, like, the debating and everything like that, the infighting. I mean, some of it's kind of, I wish it didn't happen, but at the end of the day, it makes the community stronger because you're fine tuning where you are, where you're supposed to be, like, where we all think. Because I wouldn't be here now if someone didn't question me and someone didn't push me.
Yeah, we need to be called out. We need to be challenged to find the holes in our arguments. The way that I see it all working out is that, just like we've been talking about, Dr. Paul opened our eyes to this and that. Dr. Paul was an obstetrician. He delivered 4,000 babies. Well, I argue that he delivered 4,001. That the liberty movement itself is an infant that he delivered. He brought it into the world, and it's a baby, and it's falling on its face. It's learning how to crawl. It's got growing pains. It doesn't have complete control over itself, But as it grows and develops, it's going to have more and more motor skills. It's going to start walking. Then it's going to start running, And as it grows to maturity, as we as a community grow and grow and grow and become more efficient at what we're trying to do, it's going to be a formidable opponent to statism.
Where do you see this going? The liberty community in general, like what do you foresee happening like next 10 years or whatnot?
I'm sorry, dude. I forgot my crystal ball.
Well, no, I'm just you've been in a long time. You're one of those people that you travel.
You've got perspective.
You have a better
Yeah,
perspective than most of us because
Yeah.
you're going all around the country. You're seeing this firsthand. On the boots on the ground type of scenario. Like a lot of this, like we're here. I travel to a couple of events from time to time, but I'm not like traveling the country like you are. So you have a better perspective than most people do.
Gotcha. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
with you.
I know.
I am seeing some communities coming up with local solutions to cut government out completely. I think Bitcoin, Bitcoin's not just a local solution, but I think Bitcoin is a major part of the solution. Undermining the Federal Reserve is crucial, because that is the source of the cancer. That's funding all the programs, all the violence of the ruling class and the enforcer class. I mean, without that funding and without them devaluing like our currency and just crashing our economy. I mean, every boom and bust we've ever had since 1913 has been caused by the Fed. I mean, so Bitcoin is a direct assault on the authority of the Federal Reserve, and I think that's a huge part of it. That's why I'm all about Bitcoin.
Well, it's finally a tool that most of us have. Like we've always, all of us here have been like, end the Fed. Now we can actually ignore it because we actually have a tool that we can use. Like we never had a financial tool. I mean, yeah, there's gold and silver, but it's hard to use that in
gold and silver wasn't cutting it.
No, it wasn't.
And neither was Congress. Neither was like trying to pass a bill to let's audit the Fed. Well, okay, let's audit that Fed. Yeah, like that's going to be an honest audit. First of all, I mean, the Federal Reserve is a dark and violent organization. It's not just like just some big bank. It is an international criminal conspiracy. And Bitcoin is the answer. I really do believe that. But I'm also seeing people, organizing in their local communities and finding ways around the state. I mean, like I said, there comes a point where the state will no longer let you ignore it. But and some people are in that situation, but most people have their doors aren't necessarily not enough people's doors are being kicked in yet, in order to inspire revolt. But the folks at the top, they know it's coming, and that's why they're stockpiling ammunition and weapons and militarizing state and local police departments. That this is why this is happening, because they know it's coming. I foresee something very ugly happening in our future, unfortunately. But I think that the more organized and conscious we are of what's happening, not ignoring the problem but finding solutions for it, the better we're going to be. Like my goal is to organize a mobilized, conscious, educated resistance to statism and to the conclusions that it's coming to, because they have set up a dictatorship in waiting. I mean, we basically have a dictatorship posing as a democracy, but all the continuity of government laws that have been passed since the mid '80s, especially during George Bush's presidency and Obama obviously too, have all they need is the right national crisis, and boom, it's over. any hope that anybody had of like restoring the republic, so to speak, is completely gone. The illusion is gone. The veil has dropped at that point. But when they choose to do that, who can tell? I don't know. But they are planning for violence. And they know how many of us out there are willing to fight them. I mean, they're aware of it, and that's why they're making the moves that they're making. I have a good friend who is the owner of the largest online. He's the largest online retailer of survival food and survival gear in the country. His nearest competitor is 3 times smaller than him, and he got a direct call to his cell phone from a DHS agent asking him how much product of his could he ship within 24 hours to Homeland Security. They wanted to buy everything he had. We're talking millions of dollars worth of product, and he turned them down flat. He sent them packing. You know, like, if there's such a thing as a patriot, it's that.
Well,
right
yeah,
there.
he's turning away money because he's in it for the right reason, not because of the money.
And all his competitors, they did take those calls, and they did ship their product, and they did make money. But he's doing so. I think his karma is improved even more because he decided not to do business with the beast. They're preparing. They're trying to buy up all the long-term food storage. Why? All you can do is ask that question of people and let their imaginations run wild with it. You know, I have answered those questions in my own mind, and that's why we're getting prepared. That's why we're trying to, you know, get somewhere, you know, beyond Indiana where we can be even more free and more secure than we are. I mean, there's not going to be anywhere in the United States that's going to be free from the state until the state collapses.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know that there's anywhere else in the world that's necessarily going to be better than here either. I think we don't have any chance but to stand and fight. That's what you do with a bully. A bully is going to continue to pick on you. A bully is going to continue to oppress you until you kick his ass, and that's what's going to have to happen. That's why I don't leave, because I don't like bullies. You know,
I'm the same way. I mean, for me, like I can't just leave because I feel like I'd be running. I feel like I'd be leaving the people I care about, you know, especially in the community, but the people that live in this country. You know, even if this doesn't work out well, I'd be leaving all this behind, and I feel like I have to do something here. I have to, you know, it's my role. Everyone has a role here.
I got you.
And this is my role. I have to say, I have to do something. I have to stand up, even if it doesn't happen, even if all this is for naught. You know, what if the state does really clamp down, and that's the future that we're gonna live? At least I know before I die that I stood up for them. For this. Yeah.
I always say, you know, everybody dies. So if some people didn't die and some people did, then dying would be a much bigger deal. And you only have one chance to be you. You may get born again as somebody else, but you won't know. So you have one chance to be you. I have one chance to be me. And I'm going to the story that my life is, I'm going to make it a good one. I'm going to make it worthy of remembrance. And so I refuse to submit. I refuse to go quietly into the good night, as they say.
Absolutely. All right, so I have one song request before
What's your request?
Song for Bob Dylan.
Oh,
I would love to hear that. Yeah.
All right, right on. Okay, so this song is a very special song to me, and it's been with me since the beginning. This song has reminded me several times when I questioned what I was doing, or whether I should try, you know, going in more mainstream or whatever. This was the song that kept me on the right road, and so I love this song. This was a song that was sort of handed to me by otherworldly presence. I don't claim to have really written the song. It just sort of came through, and I was because I was vibrating at the right frequency where I could hear it.
Okay.
So this is called "Song for Bob Dylan." Will you sound out a warning when you see the signs in the sky? But in the land of the blind, it's a crime to exist with an eye. And your dreams are in color, but your life is a pale afternoon. And the truth is a song, but the notes are all played out of tune. Oh, hey, hey, Bob Dylan, I wrote you a song, 'cause I know that the answers we're searching for will be here for long. Well, you taught us that war is a sin and a sham and a shame, and the penance we pay for our silence is more. It's more than just taking the blame. And the world is spinning far out of control. We got storms in the east while the western world's selling its soul. Oh, Bob, I've been stressing and fretting the thought of it all. And the world that I know and I love is now dangling and ripe for the fall. And the American Pharaoh is poised and ready to strike. But dictators arise and they fall, 'cause they all act alike. Well, they teach you to fear and surrender what's left of your youth. And the wealth that you give them is spent on the purchase of truth. So hey, Bob Dylan, I wrote you a song, 'cause I know that the answers we're searching for will be here for long. Well, you taught us that war is a sin and a sham and a shame, and the penance we pay for our silence is more. It's more than just taking the blame. So where are the Christians, and why don't we answer the call? Well, we believe in our scriptures, but don't seem to use them at all. Well, you can't go and bomb the whole world in God's holy name. If Jesus were here, you'd collapse from the weight of the shame. So hey, hey, Bob Dylan, we need you today, 'cause the freedom we fight and we die for is sailing away. And there's too many voices of wrong drowning out what is right. Come sing with me now, and together we'll take up the fight. Come sing with me now, and together we'll take up the fight.
Beautiful again. You have no idea how many times I listened to that song before I was like going through my awakening. Like I'm alone, like thinking about that song.
Yeah.
So
right on, man.
That was an honor
awesome.
to hear you play that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
It's an honor to be here to play it for you,
Yeah.
buddy. Thank you guys very much.
All right. So you have anything to plug before we head out?
Oh my God, I got so much going on. So I'm gonna be in Chinook tonight. How do you pronounce this?
I have no idea.
It's
I don't know how
New
it's
Hampshire.
pronounced at all.
It's 849 Main Street, I think, Chinook, New Hampshire. It's right outside Manchester. I apologize for all the people in Chinook who I am butchering the name of your town. I apologize. I'm gonna be in Colchester, Connecticut tomorrow. You check me out on Facebook and see what the address is there. I don't have it offhand. I'm going to be at the Avalon Theater in Easton, Maryland on Thursday, November 20th. That's going to be a big show. And I'm planning a Southern California tour the first 2 weeks of December. You can get all this information at jordanpagemusic.com. I also have a radio show that you guys can tune in on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9 Eastern called Page Against the Machine on libertymovementradio.com. And I'm still working on putting together the budget for the new album. Anybody wants to donate, they can donate via PayPal to PayPal jordanpagemusic@gmail.com. And I'm touring. We're putting together a documentary / concert film also. That's gonna be really fun. My buddy John King is he's totally the next Scorsese, man. He's awesome. And he's I always tease him. I call him Scorsese. And we're doing he's been following me around for about a year, filming me at different shows and doing interviews and taking testimonials from people whose lives my music has touched. And we're gonna do like a full length documentary concert film type thing, and that's gonna be out early next year. So there's just there's so much going on. But yeah, definitely check out LMR and my radio show and come and see me play. And jordanpagemusic.com. I'm also on YouTube, the same handle, Jordan Page Music, and it's Twitter and Facebook. It's all the same.
Do you put the show up on YouTube?
A couple of them I have. Recently, I had a show where I interviewed 2 American whistleblowers who were on the ground in Tripoli in Libya when NATO sent Al-Qaeda there to kill everyone, and they were actually captured by Al-Qaeda, and they were in the oil business for a long time, and that's why they were there, and they were trying to work with the Libyan government, and they were able to escape from Al-Qaeda. They get back to the United States, and all these different government agencies came to visit them and take their testimonies, and they were still in contact with the Libyan tribal leaders. Come to find out, all the information they had given the U.S. government was helping Al-Qaeda. They actually have physical proof that Al-Qaeda not only was created by the U.S. government, but it's actually being run by the U.S. government. So the things that we've all suspected all along are true, unfortunately. And these folks, their names are James and Joanne Moriarty, and they're whistleblowers. But my show was cyber attacked 2 weeks in a row when I was trying to broadcast their interview. So yeah, my account was suspended from my server the first time, and then the second time I got 30 minutes of the interview played, and then the entire feed just dropped, which never happens,
Yeah.
And then they told me this happens almost every time they have an interview. So they're being watched. I'm being watched. You're being watched.
Well, I know I'm being watched, but at the same time, like they can come get me if they really wanted to.
Oh, sure. Well, they're trying to give us enough ropes to hang ourselves with. But I feel like knowledge is power, and putting this knowledge out there. Like, for example, this what's the journalist's name? Foley, was it Jeff or James?
I'm drawing a blank.
You know who I'm talking about? The guy
Foley.
that was supposedly beheaded in that fake ISIS video. They said they knew him personally, that he was actually a CIA agent, that his journalism was actually his cover, and that he was killed in this video supposedly in order to kill that cover, and so he could go undercover and do some other stuff, and that it was all fake. It wasn't even him in the video. It wasn't even a real beheading. It was all done with a green screen, and that they actually physically heard him calling in airstrikes on his cell phone. They were in the same hotel with him, and they knew him personally, and he was CIA. They said almost every journalist you see in war zones are CIA agents. That it's all it's a controlled message. It's all made up, and that everything that they attributed to Gaddafi killing his own people they were all CIA programs. That Gaddafi was actually loved by his people and took Libya from being the poorest country in Africa to the richest.
Well, I absolutely believe it. I mean, it's hard to believe anything that's even in the mainstream media at this point.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's disinformation. It's meant to put out a specific narrative, and it's just a big racket. And I watch the news for entertainment value. You know, and to see what the disinformation is, so that I can go in the opposite direction. There's lots of great places to get news and to get information, and you know, just stay away from the mainstream outlets, because they're all owned by 6 corporations who perpetuate war indefinitely. That's what they want.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
An absolute honor.
Thanks, guys.
JordanPageMusic.com or JordanPage.com?
JordanPageMusic.com. You can see my calendar and listen to songs and videos and, you know, buy music. And so, yeah, definitely, you know, I appreciate everyone's support and just, you know, trying to stay on the road and keep the message rolling.
There you go.
So thank you guys for having me on. This was great.
Shire Dude, where can people find you at?
It's all at ShireDude.com.
All right, and I'm at vrebel.com. You can find all of our show archives at rebelloveshow.com. Also, go watch us on YouTube or subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. That helps a lot for us, all right? And we are out, so peace.
Peace.